KGLD 1330 AM, K285GY 104.9 FM, Tyler.
It's your girl, Michelle D.I., Mrs. Divine Intervention herself. To all my helper bees out there, you know who you are. Those that are always helping everyone else and neglecting yourself. Yes, boo, look in the mirror. I'm talking to you. Here to let you know God has not forgotten about you. I've been sent on divine assignment. It's time for Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. That means 30 minutes for your mind, your body, spirit, and emotions. And don't act like you don't have time. You have time for everyone and everything else. Sit back and relax because if you're here, that means this show is for you or it's for someone you know. But most likely, it's for both of y'all. Deep breaths, love. Let's go. Hey, family. Hey, family. It is your girl, Mrs. Michelle Allen Franklin. Yes, Mrs. Michelle D.I. Why? You know, for divine intervention, honey, because there are no coincidences in this world. Only God's divine intervention in our lives. And Mrs. Community Builder, why? Because you know your girl is going to give you the good information, boo. The things you need for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. And I just take a minute and pause, honey, and say, it's Monday. We're on the radio. Yes, it's Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. We are on the radio. I'm just going to take a pause and say, I love coming behind the Sharon with Sharon show. That was amazing. Love Thy City is an amazing love fest here in Tyler, Texas. If you don't know, y'all got to get into it. Y'all have to get into it. Go to Love Thy City. I'm just giving them a plug because it was an amazing event. My daughter, my teenager, did face painting last year with the event. We volunteered. It was just an phenomenal, it's past amazing. It was a phenomenal event to be a part of. And so I just, I encourage you to come out and help. Bring your family. Sign up. That's all you have to do is go online and sign up for this amazing event in July the 19th. And so I just wanted to co-sign because I love what Bishop DeMarcus Houston here in here in Tyler with all of the families and all of the other churches, and it is a love fest. That is a just very accurate description. It is. I said DeMarcus Houston. It's DeMarcus Pearson. Excuse me, sir. Wait a minute. Who was DeMarcus Houston? I don't know. Bishop DeMarcus Pearson is doing in the city of Tyler. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. And so, y'all know how we do each and every Monday. Your girl comes in. We are talking this month. It is June. It is one of my favorite months of the year. It is Men's Month. June is Men's Month. Yesterday was Father's Day. I want to say just happy Father's Day to all of the amazing fathers out there. I just feel like for myself, I have been blessed with amazing men. My father, Mr. Larry Allen, is here, born and raised here in Tyler, Texas, and then I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and had a man that stepped up as my stepfather, stepped up and, raised my brother and I, my younger brother in Baltimore, Maryland, in the city. When him and my mom were together, and even afterwards, you would not have known that he was not our father, that he guided and protected us just as my father would have. And so never felt like he wasn't my own, or we wasn't his own flesh and blood. And so, and in having the example in my biological father that he would allow my brother to come right every summer, and would not have known that that wasn't his biological son. So I'm just saying, shout out to all of the men out there that are taking care of your children, that are making a difference in the lives of young people. I know between those two men, I don't know where my life would be. had I not had the foundation and the love from my two amazing fathers. And so I'm grateful today. We're going to talk about a touchy subject. Y'all know it's Men's Month. And so I pride myself in having the uncomfortable but necessary conversations that we need to have. And so, because it is Men's Month, we deal with topics that are, um, that are more appropriate for men, right? Men, you guys, and I talked about this the very first week, y'all do not like to share your feelings, right? You don't like to be vulnerable. I have been a nurse for 25 years, and I share the story of men coming in and not being able to talk to their wife because they're dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, going through the things. Y'all carry a lot, and so it is only rightfully so that we deal with and just talk to and shed some light on some of the things that y'all are going through. And that's what I'm doing today. I wanted to talk about grief today. And it is because today is a very significant day. 10 years ago on this day, my big mama passed away. My big mama is my biological father's mother. And did anybody know about having a matriarch of the family to pass away? It shook the core of my family, just to be very transparent. And anybody that's ever listened to me know that I don't mind talking about things because I do believe in if we don't talk about it and we hold these things in, they fester, right? And they do turn into disease in our bodies, be it depression, anxiety, heart attack, strokes, all of these things. And it is something for men that you guys experience grief in a way. I can remember um, my father saying to me when my big mama passed, or she was passing at that time, we went to the hospital. Um, we were having, let me just back up. Let me back up. This is an emotional topic for me. I'm gonna slow down. Let me slow down and tell you right. Okay, so we were having a Father's Day dinner. It was Sunday, having Father's Day dinner. Big Mama was not feeling well and had stopped eating. And so, seemingly the day before, she was fine. But, it was time for everyone to start coming, and she was still laying in the bed, which was just very not like her. And so, we ended up going up to the emergency room. And so, as we're sitting in the emergency room, my big mama had a massive heart attack in the lobby of the emergency room. And I'm there sitting there watching her. So I'm watching, and I'm watching as her vitals were changing. And I went over to the people and I said, "Hey, I need y'all to come and check on her." And that's what it was. It ended up she was having this massive heart attack. Now, people tend to think we watch TV, and so we think Fred Sanford, oh Elizabeth, the big one is coming. Like this is this whole big old thing. But my big mama really was sitting in a wheelchair, and she literally just said, "I have a pain in my chest, and it's right here." And she was pointing and she was talking. No, no, big thing, no, big dramatic, nothing was happening. She just said it just as I'm talking plainly to you. That's how she said it. I have a pain in my chest, and it's right here. I have a pain in my chest. And so I looked at the clock and I started watching her chest rise and her heart rate, her respirations, the way that she was breathing, just started increasing. And so again, I went and got the person. So she's having this massive heart attack right there in the lobby. And so if you can imagine, I go back and at this point, my big mama said, "I'm tired." I remember that very clearly. She said, "I'm tired." And my uncle said, "No, Mama, you sleepy. Say you sleepy." She said, "No, I'm tired." And so we proceeded to go on that night. And so of course, things were kind of not looking good. And so I go back to the family and I remember I was very choked up as I was talking and trying to explain to my family that was gathered for this family, Father's Day dinner that, y'all need to get up to the hospital. I could feel in my spirit after hearing her say, "I'm tired." I thought, okay, it's not going to be too much longer. And so I said, "If y'all want to see her, y'all need to get up to the hospital." But as I was talking, I started getting a little choked up. And I remember my father said to me, "Hey, hey, 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 cut that out. Cut that out." Right. And I can remember being so angry with him, like, "What are you talking about? Cut it out." Like, I'm upset. This is my grandmother and I'm trying to talk, right? But after, going through my very intentional healing journey, I realized that my father has always been, and this is not, a knock against my father, but I'm talking to you about men and just how y'all respond to things because y'all are taught that you're not supposed to cry and you're not supposed to show emotion. Your mother is passing and we gotta be strong, right? We have this thing where we have to be strong. And please, one of the things that I pride myself in is just breaking stigma. And the best thing that you can do during a time like that, if you have a significant person that is passing away or that is going through something, is to cry. Is to allow yourself to feel, right? Is to give yourself space. Is to give yourself grace, right? Someone very significant, something is happening with someone very significant, and you want to act like you don't feel anything, right? It's just not the best thing to do. It's not the best thing to do for your heart, nor is it the best thing to do for your mind. So, we're going to talk about grief today. What is grief? Grief is more than sadness, it's a whole body, soul, deep response to loss. Whether it's the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, divorce, a dream, or even your sense of identity. This is what, when I started studying grief, what I really realized, and I want to, and I started teaching, and I want to impart in you. So I'm speaking about, the death of my grandmother and how it affected the men in the family. But understanding again, it could be a loss of a job. You men are out there, you are the providers, right? You are the providers. And so to lose your job, a lot of times your job is your sense of identity. And so if you don't have that job, I've been working for umpteen years and all of a sudden they had layoffs. And now who am I now? Right? Going through a divorce. It is the sense in the depression screening. There is a question that asks, do you feel like you've let your family down or that you are a failure? So, in a divorce, for a man, we always look at the woman's side of it, right? And we know we're very verbal about it, but we very rarely speak about how does the man feel, when there's a divorce, and we think that that man is okay, but he's not, right? He's suffering a loss just like you suffering a loss, women. The shifting of family, trying to figure out and finagle now someone else raising your children. I think about this often now because, I was raised in Baltimore, right? My mom and my dad, we got a divorce. And so my mom went back to Baltimore, and so I'm raised in Baltimore. And so how did my dad feel about another man, raising his child? I'm sure he was grateful that my stepfather, was that type of person, but nevertheless, just taking a minute to say, man, how did he feel? How do you guys feel when that happens? To have a dream or even a sense of loss again of identity. And so, grief, understanding, is a natural response to any significant loss. And for men, grief may show up differently due to cultural expectations around masculinity. We talked about that, not crying. Some men don't cry They get quiet, irritable, or work longer hours. But silence doesn't mean healing. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Silence, right, doesn't mean healing. Quiet, irritable, or work longer hours. I want you men to just take an inventory on how many times have you gone through something. And I can remember most men in my life, just it doesn't matter if it's a family member, friends, or whoever. When I think about men, you guys are always working, taking the extra shift, doing the extra thing. Yep, you're the provider, but part of that is not about providing. Part of it is you're hiding, right? You're hiding at work because it's easy to be at work and do those extra hours and just stay in that routine than to go home and deal with the things that you need to deal with. Let's talk about the stages of grief. I'm talking to somebody. Look, somebody felt that thing. I'm like, I feel you. I feel you. We're going to talk about the stages of grief. For the sake of time, there are 7 stages of grief, but we're going to cover 5. The first one is denial. Denial. This can't be happening to me, right? Denial. Just not even taking it in, not even acknowledging that thing. The second stage is anger. You're either angry at yourself, at others, and this is very, very significant, even God. Y'all know that your girl has a podcast, and so Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free on the YouTube channel. If you go to Reflections Choosing Me, the men's edition, I have a few guys on there that talk about grief and talk about loss and their confusion and anger at God. And this is very, very significant because we don't talk about being angry with God. I know I've talked about it in my forgiveness video as well, but and I have another one on anger as well. It is under the demonic entity series under the podcast tab. But being angry with God is it's almost like, oh my goodness, are you supposed to do that? We always talk about Job, and I said this before. We always talk about Job, but we do not talk about. We do not talk about. I think Pastor Caraway and I talked about this. His is under the men's edition as well. We don't talk about uh, being mad at God. We talk about Job and how Job lost all of his things, and man, he got double for his trouble and all of the stuff, right? That's everybody just love that part of the story. But did you read the part? He wasn't happy to lose all of his things. He wasn't excited that his family was gone, and there are some questions. And so I feel like, in your grieving process, I know I've been like, man, can I be mad at God? Yeah, he's your father. He's your father, right? It's okay to be angry. It's not okay to stay there. Right? It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have questions. That's why he's there, to talk to for you to get an understanding. But if you don't even process and acknowledge that you're angry, then what are you causing? You trying to figure out why your blood pressure high. Why is your belly hurting every time you eat something? Why do you have reflux? Why have you had these strokes? Why can't you sleep at night? Because you walking around acting like everything is okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm talking to somebody. And I'm not telling you this just what I've heard. I'm telling you what I know. All of the things, right? Just angry. Number 3 is bargaining. What if I would have done? I sat there, and the year that my big mama passed, my stepfather passed as well. And, part of me was like, man, what if I would have stayed had I figured things out? With my stepfather passing, I thought anytime that I was home when I was in Baltimore and he was sick, I would go to the hospital. They couldn't figure out. I would say this, that, and the third. I would figure things out. He would come home, things would be better. So, of course, if I was home, Man, if I was there, I would have been able to figure things out. So I'm asking, what if I would have just done this? We do that, right? Number 4 is depression. So people don't understand and know this and have a full understanding, but depression is a stage in grief. That is sadness, fatigue, withdrawal, feeling like you just don't want to do anything. I love my father. My father has been a rock in my life. He's been a foundation. We came every summer. I had a different outlook because I didn't have just the city life um to 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 have as a view. I had the country life too. I found Jesus. I walked down the aisle at Church of the Living God on Palace Street here, after I moved with my father. He provided foundation and safety. But after my big mama's passed, his mother, he's not the same person, right? He's sad. He's withdrawn. That happens. It is a natural occurrence, and sometimes we get stuck. We get stuck. And so I'm saying that to someone who may not even realize, because I call it going and being and doing, where we just are on this path of routine, right? Just going every day, going to work, taking care of the kids, providing, working those extra shifts. You're just on autopilot, right? Stages, that is withdrawal, and stages of depression. Your family still needs you. I'm 48 years old. I still need my dad. I still want my dad, right? Your children still need you. Your wife still needs you. Your whoever it is in your life, they still need you. Number 5 is acceptance. These are the stages of grief: acceptance, not getting over it, but learning to live with it. I had to get to a point because my father is still here, but I'm grieving my father and he's still alive. Is there anybody out there that's grieving and in relationships or grieving men? People are grieving you and you're still here. It's not a comfortable conversation. It's not something that I'm able to talk about at all times. Before, I probably couldn't even talk about it at all. But I feel like there is the things that I have gone through, what I've noticed just from statistics and research is that I'm not the only one going through it. And I am you and you are me. And so if I'm going through it, then 9 times out of 10, there's some other people going through it as well. And then I thought for Men's Month, maybe um, I can get to my father and explain these things, but maybe there's a father listening. Maybe there's a son listening because, even all family members, maybe there's an uncle listening. Maybe there's a cousin listening. Maybe there's a brother listening that understand that your presence, you're still here, and someone is grieving as if you're gone because you're withdrawn. Because I understand that you were just sad yourself, right? And you're trying to handle things the best way that you can handle things. And understand that that is okay. I had to get to a point where I realized, and this is the 5th stage, is acceptance. I had to get to a point where I realized I had to be okay with my dad needed his time to grieve. It's been 10 years. Everybody handles things differently, right? Everyone handles things differently. And so there is not a timeline. Please understand that there's not a timeline. I can't rush his grief. That was his mother. And prior to that, his father passed, right? So there are some grown men, and my dad is in his in his 70s now, right? But there are some grown men because we've never processed the grief. We really never dealt with it. I had a very, very amazing conversation with one of my big cousins. It is going to premiere tomorrow. Um, Bishop Aaron Henson. We talked about the loss of our grandfather. Aaron is older than me. And so he talked about the year that Papa passed away. And he said when he was young, he used to go every morning. He would get up as a young boy, and Papa would leave the door open. So he lived next door. So he would go next door, and the door would be open. So he would go in there, and they would sit and have breakfast. And they would, have their little conversation. They would eat breakfast, and they would watch TV or whatever they did that morning in his routine. And he said, Papa died in 77. I'm 48 and I was born in 77. So 48 years. And this is powerful, y'all. He said, I haven't grieved his death yet. Yeah, a moment of silence for that. He said, I haven't grieved his death yet. And so please know and understand again that who are you grieving? Somebody out there is grieving there. You are pretending and acting as if, right? Withdrawn from family and friends, irritable, trouble sleeping, overeating, maybe not eating enough, overworking, numbing through alcohol, sex distractions, avoiding, right? Spiritual confusion. These are all things that, that men deal with. Well, let me just give you some resources if you feel any of this, because understand that you are not alone and healing is definitely available. If you need some Christian resources, griefshare.org is a wonderful Christian based resource. It is an app called the Good Grief app. It is a grief support that is centered around males. There is another one called Modern Widowers Foundation. Modern Widower. Let me spell it. My accent's getting in the way. Modern Widower, WIDOWER.org. That is for a support group for men who have lost their wives. And then you, of course, have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 988. That is 24/7 emotional support. They also have counselors that are available to speak to you on site 24 hours a day if you need. Understand that therapy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Counseling helps you to unpack what you've been carrying all alone, and you are not alone. And so, to every man listening, your grief is valid, your healing matters. Let it be okay to feel, to talk, to process. You are not alone. Thank you. Family, this has been another divine intervention. Thank you for tuning in to Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free with your girl, Miss Michelle D.I. Every week, we will have the uncomfortable but necessary conversations as it relates to your mind, your body, your spirit, and emotions. You've suffered long enough. It's time to break free. So join me every Monday at 1 p.m. right here on KGLD Radio, where you can fill your spirit with gospel all day long. See you next week.